Pumpkin Heart by Cristina, Oliva. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful, enchanted land. On the highest hill, surrounded by the most beautiful vegetation, with rainbow flowers and cherry trees, there was Prince Kevnik Castle. The land there was so generous that every tree was rich with sweet, juicy fruits, and the landscape was filled with pumpkin fields, for pumpkin was the prince's favorite ingredient. It never failed to enrich all his amazing treats and exquisite desserts. Prince Kevnik was very charming, handsome, and smart. His kingdom was the most glorified of all, because he was an inventor, and whatever he did was so well done. His heart was immense, for he would never deny helping someone in need. However, for as much as he gave to others, he hardly ever accepted something that was given to him. He was afraid to care about someone and then suffer disappointment. Because of this, the prince would often sit alone in one of the many beautiful corners of his enchanted land. In time, he grew more and more isolated, not from people around him, but from his true self. In spite of his soul being capable of great love, it closed off completely to prevent suffering. As time passed, His Royal Highness, Prince Kevnik, began to look more and more like a pumpkin of a brilliant orange color, and while it was rich, sweet, and full of life's energy inside, it also had a very hard armor on the outside. One evening, he was standing at the window of his regal room, watching the beautiful colors of the sun setting. Longing to find something or someone to fill the emptiness within him, Prince Kevnik didn't know how or where he should look. The moment he wished to find himself again, he saw a beautiful light on the horizon, growing bigger and bigger. When the light reached his window, a spirit appeared before the prince. Although the spirit could see right through the prince's heart, and so he asked, "Son, why are you so sad?" Yet the prince could not speak. Then the spirit said, "Dear prince, you are like the pumpkins you enjoy so much. You are great, and your color shines with kind friendship towards others. However, your greatest gifts and highest potentials are trapped within a very hard shell. If you can rid yourself of your fears and pain, everyone will see how sweet and soft you are on the inside. Only then will you be able to let true love reach your inner core." After a long silence, the prince answered, "But if I do that, I will be vulnerable and I could get hurt." "Yes," said the spirit, "yet if you hold yourself back, you wouldn't really be living. This is what life is all about, finding yourself, your purpose, and living without fears. If you fear life, you won't find your true love. For the opposite of love is not hatred, but fear itself." "Follow your heart, my son," said the spirit. The prince replied, "But I don't know how I could do that, and I'm really, really afraid that no one will like me." That night, the prince went to bed with a heavy heart. During the night, he dreamt about his true love, Princess Melody. She lived in a castle in another faraway enchanted land. The prince was only able to see her during his dreams, and she could do the same with him. She was everything the prince ever wanted and more. Sadly, she lived far from him, and he was afraid that if he loved her with all his heart, she might someday hurt him if she saw his true self. What if she would not like him? The desire to be with her was immense, but the fear of her rejection was so great that the prince was never able to even say her name out loud. Before falling asleep that night, he told himself that he would simply be happy to meet her in his dreams, and this way he would not get hurt. The following day, Prince Kevinnik woke up in a pumpkin field. He looked around and wondered how he ever managed to get there. Maybe he sleepwalked all the way there. How silly, he thought. But as he tried to get up, he realized he could not move. The spirit appeared before him and said, "Dear Prince, if you have to be a pumpkin, then you might as well live like one. The day you will choose to become a man, you will live like a prince again." As the spirit was leaving, the prince screamed, "Wait! Please wait! How do I do that? Help me!" "Dear Prince, no one can help you. The only way to find yourself rests within you. You only need to find it. You are the only one that can do this. And this is true for every answer we are looking for in life. They cannot be found outside, but rather within us. The moment you will decide to find what you are looking for, you will. Just listen to the silence, because it is in the silence that you can hear the voice of your heart, where all the answers to all your questions reside," said the spirit. Having said this, the spirit smiled and dashed away. The prince started crying and wondered what it meant to listen to the silence. From that day on, the prince spent most of his time crying. Then one day, something told him that if he wasn't so busy crying all over himself, he would be able to hear the silence. Right then and there, he decided to wipe his eyes and blow his nose. When he finally looked up, he saw endless pumpkin fields and began to hear the silence. The sun rose and dawned for many days, and at last the prince heard a voice saying, "The tears you cried have melted the ice surrounding your soul, and in the silence you have learned to hear my voice." When the prince asked, "Who's talking to me?" there was no answer, so he decided to be still and continued listening to the silence. That night, before falling asleep, after spending the entire day listening to the silence, the prince looked up at the sky and saw that it was filled with beautiful stars. He never realized how beautiful the sky could be at night, and for a moment he felt one with the universe. He saw and felt how perfect everything seemed to be. Suddenly, and for the first time in a very long time, he realized he was not afraid at all. He felt happy and wanted to live his life without fears. Most of all, he wanted to find his true love. Before he even realized it, he was calling her name in the silence of the night. "Melody, Melody, my sweet princess! Melody, Melody!" He whispered the name again and again until he fell into the sweetest, most magical sleep. The next day, Prince Kevinnik woke up in his room at the castle. He was no longer a pumpkin. He had grown into a man. He jumped out of his bed and readied himself for a long trip to tell Melody that he loved her. He realized that he was no longer afraid and just happy to feel alive. He knew everything was going to be perfect, just like the night before when he felt one with the universe. As the prince's prized steed carried him towards Melody's castle, he realized that the way to his true love was always clear, inside his heart, to be precise. How curious it was that he had to completely lose himself to find his heart again. He smiled and felt entirely different, as if he had become a new person. He had found his true self. When he reached the castle, Melody was there waiting as if she had been expecting him. As he approached her, they looked into each other's eyes. They both knew each other's thoughts because they had met every night in their dreams. Until this moment in time, they had only met in their dreams. Now it was real. They embraced before they kissed and knew that they were thinking the same thing. Dreams do come true. All we need to do is believe in our dreams and hold on to them with everything inside us till we reach the universe and we become one with it. From that day forward, Prince Kevinnik and Princess Melody lived happily ever after. The end, the beginning.